Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Welcome to our Drsya. So the verse we were covering the last the verse 29 on page 60 and 61. Still wrapping up on the subject of samadhi, those six types of samadhi. So and then we came to the conclusion that that Nirvikalpa Samadhi is not really the ultimate. Nirvikalpa Samadhi may be good for the sake of resting and purifying.
Lindo, can I start with a question?
Please.
I have a question today. So, it seems to me that our group, we are alone more or less from a year thing. Now we are always 3-4 persons. And it seems to me that our group is quite clear about Vedanta. Okay. Also, when I hear Mark talking or Lynn, when they answer your question, they are quite clear. And also for me, when I read something about Vedanta, some books, the Panchadasi, or I study also the Bhagavad Gita with the Swami P, the talks of Swami P. When I read, it's everything very, very clear. And of course, I'm still subject to forgetfulness. I feel like Vedanta is inside me, but it's hard for me to explain it. I have to still integrate it and all this stuff. I have to digest. But more or less, I found everything so clear. Now, the question is, what is exactly self-realization? Oh, sorry, moment. Okay. What is exactly self-realization? Because if self-realization is only the understanding of Brahman, the Satchitananda, that you say we can understand it, the subject object, we know who is the subject, we know the object. If self-realization is only this, can we make this big claim that for me, as I told you, it's like very vanity? Can we claim that we are self-realized? For me, it's a big claim. So I have this doubt. When you realize or that you are self-realized, it's only the understanding the subject, or it's more from that, okay? Because otherwise we can fall in enlightenment sickness. No, I can say, okay, I understand everything, so I am self-realized. I understand the subject object, I am realized. For me, it's like vanity. So,
okay, Lynn, can you answer that for me, please?
So, what do you want me to answer? What is self-realization?
Well, I think Claude's question.
Yeah. What knowledge is essential, of course, but the claiming goes beyond knowledge. And when you work with the Nididhyasana, then this is my understanding. eventually you drop the doer. And the causal body, as you were talking, Arlindo, about that the intellect informs the vasanas in the causal body, and one gets to really fully claim. It goes beyond knowledge. It's knowledge per se. It's just steadiness in that knowledge, perhaps, but not the knowledge itself.
Okay, Claudio, can you, Omar, can you help us as well?
I would say when the knowledge is so well integrated into our causal body, into our subtle body, that we're no longer really adversely affected by samsara, and we keep a relative state of bliss, even though that's subject to ups and downs. But we've got to this point where we're at peace with ourselves, no matter what the situation, and no matter what the state of our mind. And so, like I said, samsara doesn't really affect us too badly.
Okay.
So for me, that would be self-realization, more or less.
Okay, and Sylvia, do you feel like saying something, or you prefer not?
Just a moment. Okay. I have to say, well, what he said that sometimes, yes, there is forgetfulness and the understanding is more or less clear. I would say that when one knows who he is, there is no forgetfulness, and there is very clear knowledge and steady understanding, and the other word he used about that, and it's very clear, it's not, there is no doubt. So there will be, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let's begin from what you said last. I mean, self-recognition is something, as Lynn was saying, it's beyond intellectual knowledge or intellectual self-knowledge, because what is self-knowledge? It is knowledge in regards to the nature of the I, the nature of the individual, the Jivatma. So it's knowledge about I, myself, self-knowledge. So it is knowledge. It is about my true nature. And the scriptures is going to tell us that we are not the body-mind construct, okay? We are none of those 5 levels of experience, because those 5 levels of experience are going to bring about what? A sense of the experiencer knower, okay? The sense of the being the doer and the experiencer, okay? The ego, the our inferior nature, it's not only a doer, but it is an experiencer. Yeah? So this individual is there, experience this dualistic order of reality, okay? And this self-knowledge is the knowledge in regards to the true nature of this experiencer, okay? So when we go through the process of Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, we hear those wonderful things about the true nature of this I, self. We hear, but a lot of the time we have certain doubts that are going to prevent us to fully accept it, okay? The claiming is not just a question of say, now I claim it because I'm tired of not claiming. So the claiming is a byproduct of a full conviction, of a solid, certainty in regards to all these beautiful things that the scripture is telling about my I, the non-dual I, and I am this I, okay? So what is that? It should self-recognition, which is, I like this word, self-recognition, because it is something that differentiates from self-knowledge. So you have the knowledge, but yet something must happen that this self-knowledge becomes a doubtless self-knowledge, a doubt-free self-knowledge. Usually what prevents us, Claude, to enjoy, to appreciate and enjoy the fruits of this self-knowledge are the doubts or suspiciousness or vagueness, okay, that we have around that. And a lot of the time we are not aware of our doubts and suspiciousness. You understand? That's why in Vedanta, again and again, the scripture brings up our doubts, trying to pull it from our subconscious mind. They are there. They are an obstacle for us to enjoy the fruits of this knowledge, you understand? And then to the degree that these doubts are no longer there on the subconscious mind, and then the teachings, these beautiful things that the scripture says about us, they are taking, they are claim, but claim is just like, see, of course, yes, I'm not the mind. I'm this consciousness shining on the mind, okay, on the subtle body, and the experience, illumining my environment and so on, and have all this kind of experience. But I'm the ultimate seer in the language of the Drsya. I'm the absolute seer, the absolute illuminator. I'm not the reflected consciousness. I am original, limitless, non-dual consciousness, existence. Okay, so this knowledge on the surface, it makes sense. And a lot of the time we have a certain anxiety to say, okay, done deal, I accept it. I'm out of here because, I mean, I already agree with it. I like it, okay? But the frustration is, I mean, although I agree and I like it, I'm still not enjoying the fruits of this self-knowledge. For as long as we do not enjoy the fruits of this self-knowledge, we need to keep digging to find out whatsoever is there preventing me from enjoying the fruits. And the scriptures say, and it is my experience, my understanding, my take, that usually it's just a certain degree of doubts, okay? So, and there are two things operate. One is I still doubting the scriptures. And as I often present, I still doubting. I almost like in my subconscious mind, I'm not certain. It's hard to accept that I'm not the body mind. It's hard to accept that consciousness. It's hard to accept that I am non-dual conscious existence. The true nature of Ishvara, Jiva, Jagat. I can understand it intellectually, but to really let it in and establish my identity as consciousness, which is free and independent from our human experiences, okay? So this takes something more than just an intellectual understanding, okay? So this intellectual understanding, it's important, it is indispensable, but this intellectual understanding has to become doubtless, clear, and self-knowledge, self-understanding. Understand? I understand what is this self, what is this I, my true nature, okay? And then to the extent that I have no longer doubts, okay, if I do not have any doubts in respect to that, I keep doing what? I keep doing my nididhyasana, okay? Application of a knowledge that became doubtless, okay? So that this clear, doubtless self-knowledge can transform my mind, transform my emotional personality, can develop roots, okay? Roots in the emotional center of the Jiva Atma, and roots into the causal body, so that the Jiva Atma is not all the time challenged by ignorant bits and pieces of ignorance popping up from the causal body into the subtle body, into the conscious mind. You understand? So the work continues, but now I have a doubtless self-knowledge, and that is a good place to be, because then all I need to do is application of self-knowledge until I can see clearly that, like Mark was saying, I'm no longer being affected by whatsoever happens in media. So I'm no longer vulnerable. Now I have a certain strength, a certain balance, and the balance is all based on my clear, doubtless understanding that I'm not affected by anything that happens to the body-mind. You understand? Because I'm Satya, I am conscious existence of limitless nature. You understand? So application of self-knowledge, Nididhyasana, okay, is what does, in the language of Swami, that the conversion, it's going to convert this intellectual, doubtless self-knowledge into emotional balance or health, mind, strength, equilibrium, a very health kind of mind, so that we can enjoy, a health mind and live in the world without having strong reactions in regards to pleasures and pains. You understand? So it is a process, Claudio. It's gradual. This conversion that sometimes in the language of Swami, he presents it as well like internalization. And I think Mark used that, you need to internalize this knowledge, meaning to say it needs to spread to my emotional center so that I don't overreact when things are super good or super bad. So it has to be internalized. It's like a medicine that we take, or the pickles. I was teaching a class to in Brazil here, and Swamiji talks about the pickles that we know from India. You have to put the vegetables and the fruits in a certain oil with certain spices. And those flavors are going to impregnate the fruits and the vegetables, but it takes a long time. It's gradual, you understand? So likewise, so gradually, okay, we're going to internalize, and our emotional personality is going to take the benefit, because the fruitification of self-knowledge is this emotional balance, emotional strength, okay, equanimity. You understand? So what is self-realization? Is self-knowledge, extensively or properly internalized, so that I'm no longer having strong emotional reactions, when things get too good or too bad. You understand? I'm just there was a word that in the past people used to use in the spiritual circle. Is I'm centered. You remember that? I'm centered. I'm centered on my knowledge. You understand? So I'm not overreacting from one side or the other side. I'm balanced. I'm health. Okay, so it is this internalization. It's this assimilation, as officially, traditionally, Nididhyasana is assimilation, which is internalization, or in the language of Swami, conversion, doubtless self-knowledge into emotional self-knowledge. So it may sound a little bit strange, emotional self-knowledge, but then it needs to be explained. It's like it's somehow emotionally now I live. My life, the way I experience the world and respond is in harmony with my self-knowledge. Otherwise, I have a self-knowledge, but the way I experience myself and respond or interact is not in harmony with what I know. You understand? It's integration. So now we are coming to another expression. What is self-recognition? It's integration of this self-knowledge, so that the entire body-mind complex, is living or experience itself under this certainty of self-knowledge. Understand? So emotionally, intellectually, subconsciously, So everywhere I'm benefiting from this doubtless self-knowledge. The first thing is to remove all doubts, suspiciousness, and the scriptures again and again, they are going to help us with pulling those doubts. Okay. And as far as claiming is an internal thing, which means canceling doubts so that I can accept. It's not like I accept now what the scriptures say about me. No, Jesus claim I accept, but I don't need to tell anybody about that. You can tell us here in our group, of course. Yeah. Anything else?
No, thank you. It's very clear. It was only the recognizing the difference between only knowing intellectually. This is something that you can understand, but the other thing is, as you say, the assimilation, the integration, and that becomes alive. Okay, now it's more clear. Thank you.
Yeah, you want your knowledge, your life to be properly harmonized, conformed. You understand? So if your knowledge is I am consciousness and I'm untouched, I'm free, I don't change, and I am independent from my experience. But then in reality, you feel like that I'm changing and I'm affected, so on, and then there is not really harmonization between what I know and what I live, what I am, in the practical level. Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up. Sometimes I think when we talk about claiming, I think of the other side of that. It's kind of like getting naked. You have to take off the sheaths. You have to take off the bodies. You have to take off all these things that we're discriminating. And so it requires, what I find is, what I've self-diagnosed is there's still an attachment to the jiva, and really the other side of claiming is putting aside. You can, it is on one level, it seems to me to be, there's two fullnesses. You get Ishvara and Maya as well as Brahman. But I really have to, it seems I'm attached to the jiva, and I just really have to drop that costume, that vestment, or whatever you want to call it, of the embodied.
Yeah, I understand.
Atma.
Yeah, so what Lynn is saying is that although she does not have doubts in regards to the teachings, you understand, there is something which is still attachment or identification with the body-mind. I meet a lot of people who says, okay, I have accept, I am Brahman, I am pure limitless consciousness, awareness, but I'm sorry, but I will keep my jiva nature as well. And then the identity remains still invested in the jiva nature, because I like life. I like to be an experiencer here. You understand? And definitely that level of identification or investment in my inferior nature is ignorance manifesting. Okay. And then what it's gonna do? It's going to reinforce some vasanas of attachment, okay, to mitya, to the body mind. You understand? That is going to definitely be one of those impediments, as we know now. So we have the impediments of not being able to claim and to accept it, to embrace my true nature. On the other hand, we have the other obstacle, which is the identification or attachment to mitya. No? And the body-mind is an expression of mitya as the individual. So it's well put, Lynn. So for everybody, there will be two levels of impediment there. One is in respect to Do I really have no doubts? Do I really trust completely? Can I really embrace the fact that I am consciousness? So Jesus one line. The other line, that because I can't really embrace or claim or accept that, I cannot do that because I'm still somehow, to certain degrees, I am still identified with Mithya, identified with the body-mind, as Lin was saying, understand? So that identification with the not self needs to be seen, you understand? And we need to understand that this is one of the obstacles to remain attached to Mithya, to objects, and the body-mind is an object. So it's the ultimate object of desire, maybe we could say. You know, when we think about objects, we never really look and see my body-mind. The body-mind is the primary instrument by which I contact and experience other objects. So we have a huge identification and attachment to this object, meaning to say my instrument of experience, because I'm enjoying experience and I'm attached to experience, and I don't want to have self-knowledge, which, you know, is not an experience, and so on. So I'm confused. I want to keep both. And then I hear that the teachings say that if you have self-knowledge and then you're going to finally enough experience Mithya in a better way, because you're going to have more Nanda playing at your mind. And then he said, that's it. You say, I knew I should be investing in my Jiva Atma. No, you should not be investing in your Jiva Atma. So the Jiva Atma is going to become a more pleasant entity, experiencing entity as a bonus, okay, as a byproduct. But the goal of Vedantin, a seeker of moksha, is not to do what we do just for the sake of enjoy experience of Mithya in a more balanced or pleasant way. We want self-knowledge because we are crazy for it. You know, it became an obsession. I need to know the truth. I need to know who I am, and I need to internalize and own this knowledge that I am what I am, selfless, limitless, eternal consciousness. So I want that. So my goal should never be to become a better experiencing entity. That's why in Vedanta, we don't emphasize much that, you understand? But the fact is that the Jnani is the one who is happier. And then on the other hand, they will say, so you want happiness, you need to be a Jnani. You say, oh, yes. So, and then I want to be happy as a Jiva. Yeah, but you should not be much attached to this idea because it becomes irrelevant once you are Jnani. You understand? So it's a little tricky. Yeah. So we need to invest basically everything into discovering directly this. Self-recognition is also said to be aparoksha jnana, direct, immediate self-knowledge. So when this self-knowledge is direct and immediate, it becomes a doubtless self-knowledge, you understand? Because you, for the first time, you see that you are what you are, and nothing can change that fact, okay? The same way that you know you are a human being, but nothing can change that fact, you understand? It's a clear, and it's even more clear than that, you know? But so it is attachments to the Jiva and the Jiva's experience. All this language of samadhi, that creates this seduction in the world of the yogis, you know, and they want to be the ultimate experiencing this and that samadhi and these transcendental states and these beautiful things, you know, in sounds and visions. So all of that is very seductive, you know, seductive, but it's not the goal of Vedantin. Vedantin wants to know that he or she is limitless conscious existence, okay? So Nirvikalpa Samadhi is not the big deal. Is that all right, Lynn? Anything else?
Yes, thank you.
Nirvikalpa Samadhi. We saw that Nirvikalpa Samadhi depends on meditation, depends on Savikalpa Samadhi, and we can work to produce a Savikalpa Samadhi or a Sahaja Samadhi, let's say, a very quiet, clear, and pleasant state, in which the mind is alert, but it is just totally contemplative. So you experience consciousness reflect in a very sattvic mind. So it says that we can work to get to that point. Effort is going to help you to get to that point. But then you cannot work to get Nirvikalpa Samadhi because there are some other factors, one of them being karma, okay? The karma of the meditator is what's going to push him from experiencing consciousness reflected in its sattvic mind. It's going to push him into disappearance, into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, okay? Nirvikalpa Samadhi you cannot work for. You can work for a peaceful mind, okay? An empty mind, a quiet mind, a deep meditation, you can work for that. But then for Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you're gonna need something beyond your control, and this is karma. Okay? Therefore, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is only possible, is only a possible consequence of Savikalpa Samadhi. So if you want to do meditation, Samadhi, so do meditation to experience this very, very quiet mind. And then a possible consequence in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, but it's better not to be building any expectation about that. Instead, I had my stage in which I was experiencing quiet mind and blissful mind and so on, and I never had any Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and I was not expecting, thanks God, that either, okay? So, bottom line, it's better to forget about Nirvikalpa Samadhi. The second point is that is whether Nirvikalpa Samadhi is compulsory. No, it's not compulsory for moksha. It's not compulsory for self-knowledge and liberation. No? The answer is clearly no, no, no. Self-knowledge depends on what? A pramana. It depends on a means for self-knowledge. There is no knowledge without the means of knowledge. Self-knowledge requires a means to self-knowledge, meaning to say the scriptures, the Upanishads. The Mahavakya Vichara, the investigation following those final declarations of the Vedas, okay? We saw that. And then we in Panchadasi, Vidyaranya says that liberating the direct knowledge has to arise out of Mahavakya, Shravanam, or Vichara only, okay? So what is the final direct self-knowledge? Is the recognition that I am limitless consciousness. I'm not the mind. Mind changes, I don't change. So what is that? It's nothing but, establishment, or to be established in my identity as my essence, as consciousness. And that is nothing but what the Mahavakyas, the Vedantic Mahavakyas say. You are this limitless consciousness. You are Brahman. The Jiva Atma is Paramatma, is Brahman. So this investigation on the true absolute identity of the Jiva Atma is an investigation into the Mahavakyas present at the end of the Vedas. Of course, you can get this knowledge without getting contact with those final declarations of Vedanta. But the final Mahavakyas are going to help us, especially if we have all the expositions coming now to support these Mahavakyas, the help of a living guru and so on. And then all of that is going to facilitate my vichara, my investigation following those determinations that I am free, limitless consciousness. And I have no doubt about that. And I know that nothing will affect me as consciousness. as long as I feel that I do not have direct knowledge of Paroksha Jnana, what I required is more improved Shravana, or more investigation in the light of the Vedantic final declarations, okay? My Shravana is incomplete as long as I feel that I do not have a Paroksha Jnana, okay? My Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana is incomplete if I feel that I still do not have this certainty of self-knowledge, this direct self-knowledge, this doubtless self-knowledge. And not only that, and this direct self-knowledge has transformed the way I experience myself and the world. Until such a time when I have the direct self-knowledge properly integrated and converted, any other sadhana, including Nididhyasana, is only for getting the mind ready for improved Shravana. So any sadhana we're going to do at that level, Claudio, is going to just improve my intellect, my mind, so that I can come to that final clear understanding. You understand? A doubtless understanding that immediately my experience that the doubtless self-knowledge, the doubtless final understanding immediately transforms the way Jiva-Atma experience its instrument of experience the body-mind, experience the world. There is a sudden change in the way you see the world, a change in the way you see yourself. This happens with a doubtless self-knowledge. And I have experienced that phenomenon even before I contact Vedanta and Ramji, you understand? So there is a transformation in the way you experience yourself and the world. And it may be gradual, it may be less gradual, depends, okay? I trust that all of you somehow experience a gradual transformation or improvement or betterment on the way you experience yourself and the world. So any sadhana is going to produce what? Every sadhana, including Nididhyasana, is going to prepare the mind to finally enough accept what the Mahavakyas have said. So you need to do that, not to get more knowledge, because you already got the knowledge. Now you are doing the same sadhanas only to help you to accept, fully accept, without any doubt. So in other words, Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana does not produce self-knowledge. It's the ultimate purifier of the mind, so that at a certain point you accept those declarations, those things the scriptures say about what we are. You understand? Why? Because it has removed all my doubts, and now I have mental, intellectual refinement and subtlety and purification, so that I can see those very subtle doubts, that subconscious, vague, abstract doubts, and they can be cleared somehow. And then my knowledge is absolutely clear and doubtless. And then I can see my life being transformed. But I can't produce that just by doing Shravana. Shravana is going to just prepare the mind for the final claiming, as we began our conversation today. Claiming, you're going to claim. It's not I am claiming, it's like, consciousness is claiming you, Jiva-Atma, is only me, Paramatma. You understand? Clear understanding of Mahavakyas, Vedantic Mahavakya, is self-realization. Clear understanding includes the clear understanding that there is no self-realization other than the clear understanding of the Mahavakyas. So what are the Mahavakyas? There are several Mahavakyas for the Upanishads, the most popular known Upanishads. They all say that you are free, limitless, conscious existence. Okay, everything that they say, the only thing they say is that the Jiva-Atma is consciousness, awareness, limitless by nature, okay? And existence being the other side of what I am. So understanding that there is no self-realization other than the clear understanding. And this understanding goes beyond the intellectual understanding. It's an understanding that does not transform your cognitive, faculty. It transforms your cognitive faculty, but transform your emotional personality as well. The final understanding is beyond intellectual knowledge, like Lynn was trying to point out. It's the final understanding. It has a certain power to spread all over the body-mind construct so that one experience the world differently, okay? So, and that's what a self-recognition is. Self-realization is understanding and accepting these beautiful things, the Mahavakyas of Vedanta. Vidyaranya emphasized this point in Panchadhas. He talks about the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and thereafter he says that this practice of Nirvikalpa Samadhi does not produce self-knowledge, but it equips a person for better Shravanam. The intellect could not listen clearly because certain obstacles and Samadhi Abhyasa, including the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, will only refine the intellect for better Shravana. What he's saying is that the self-knowledge can only be got or achieved, through the scriptures, through the process of Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. And whatsoever deep meditation you do is going to only help you to refine, purify, make the intellect very subtle, so that your assimilation, Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, is going to be easy, because the obstacles, the impurities were removed by this process of refinement. So it was purified and refined. So now Shravana is easy, because I have removed the impurities, the obstacles, as stated in the first chapter of Panchadhas. And then we move to the verse 61. I couldn't find my printed version here. Let me open here. Is this 61 now? No. No. This is something else. This is what he's referring to, the Panchadhas, verse 61. By various.
I have it.
Please.
The entire network of desires is fully destroyed, and the accumulated actions, known as merits and demerits, are fully rooted out by this samadhi.
By the samadhi. Can you read it again, please?
The entire network of desires is fully destroyed, and the accumulated actions, known as merits and demerits, are fully rooted out by this samadhi.
Okay.
So by merits and demerits, is he talking punya papa?
Yes, the networks of desires and fears, and the punya papas that are going to give this experience of meritorious experience and unmeritorious experience, punya papa. So this is all part of this process of refinement, purification. All of that becomes irrelevant. Okay, that's what he's trying to say, right? It's uprooted, as you said. So the individual is no longer trapped in the network of desires and aversions, and invested in punya karma, trying to do things to experience good things and so on. So all of that is uprooted in samadhi. And in samadhi, he's trying to use the word samadhi, but it's the process, the final process of Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana that brings the individual to the final deal, which is self-knowledge and experientially manifest as Sahaja Samadhi, okay? So Sahaja Samadhi is what allows us to hold this self-knowledge without efforting. By various sadhanas, including meditation, the intellect gets better purified, and with a better intellect, the seeker has to come back to Shravanam. So a lot of people have this idea, now that I did so much Vedanta, 2, 3, 4 years, now I should go and try to practice deep meditation and then samadhi. I want to have samadhi, 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 samadhi. And he is saying, no, samadhi will never produce self-knowledge. If you want to go back to samadhi, but note clearly, be informed that self-knowledge can only come by understanding the Mahavakyas, okay, by Mahavakya Vichara, investigation. So it has to come back to this process of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. And when the intellect gets clear, the very same Mahavakya, which was not working in the past, because it was improperly heard, will be heard more clearly. So the Mahavakya did not work before, and then it works now, and only Shwara knows when it is now occurs, okay? As some of you heard me saying. So when I finally understood it, it was a moment that I was getting ready to do something with my restaurant. I was dressing up in my bedroom to leave the house to go. And then in that moment, I opened one book and I looked into one sentence that I have read hundreds of times in the I Am That. And then in that moment, that Mahavakya, it was a Mahavakya because Nisargadatta Maharaj was only throwing those final declarations that, oh, you are this and that, forget about that, you are consciousness, and blah, 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 blah. So that entered. And I read it many times, but that moment I read it properly because somehow by trying hard over decades, the intellect got a little better, a little more refined. And then I could heard it more properly. I could read it more properly. So that improved Shravana will give direct knowledge as stated in the first chapter of Panchadas. So in the end, it's only the improved Shravana. And by Shravana here, he's referring to Shravana Manana, of course. And then the byproduct of this improved investigation in the light of the teachings of Vedanta is going to produce Nididhyasana, which is assimilation of this self-knowledge, direct self-knowledge. Vidyaranya concludes in the first chapter as follows, verse 62. Oh, you want to read the 62 and 64?
Then the great dictum, freed from the obstacles of doubt and ambiguity, gives rise to a direct realization of the truth as a fruit in one's palm. Truth.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you read again the beginning that I did not get one word there?
Okay.
Then?
Okay, hold on. Trying to get it. It's disappearing on me. Then the great dictum, freed from the obstacles of doubt and ambiguity, gives rise to, oh, my computer's messing up, gives rise to a direct realization of the truth as a fruit in one's palm.
Beautiful. Very beautiful. It's just the first word that you used there. I don't know its meaning, but it's okay. I got the sense. And if you have the opportunity, share these 3 verses with us in our WhatsApp, please.
Yeah, it's in the Panchadasi text that Claudio gave us, but I'll do that.
Panchadasi that Claudio gave us.
Didn't Claudio give us the text for?
Maybe. Okay.
Maybe I'll post them.
Thank you. And then the following verse, Vidyaranya concludes the first chapter of Panchadasi as follows.
The direct realization of the knowledge of the self obtained from the Guru's teaching of the great dictum is like the scorching sun that dispels the very darkness of avidya the root of all transmigratory existence.
One more time, please.
The direct realization of the knowledge of the self obtained from the Guru's teaching of the great dictum is like the scorching sun that dispels the very darkness of avidya, the root of all transmigratory existence.
Beautiful, very poetic. And that's what it is. That's somehow it wraps up our conversation of today. In which way, self-recognition takes place. Light dispels darkness without doing anything. And then this knowledge, this scripture, these Mahavakyas are going to cancel the ignorance. Ignorance is, I think I'm both. Okay. I like my body mind, and I'm not 100% sure, so it's okay. So let me keep both. My superior nature, my inferior nature, I'm investing both in that. Now, generally speaking, does not do the job called liberation from or doubtless self-knowledge. With the help of the Guru, and the Guru is unfold the Mahavakyas, one has to continue to do the Shravana, because Shravana alone gives Atmayanam. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is not compulsory for liberating direct knowledge, but proper Shravana is compulsory. In the 9th chapter of Panchadasi, Vidyaranya says that throughout life, if one feels that he has done a lot of Shravana, but only have intellectual self-knowledge, he should continue Shravana in the next verse. Samadhi Abhyasa is one method of clearing the intellect to reach better Shravana. Nirvikalpa Samadhi may happen or not during that Abhyasa, but the liberating knowledge does not depend on any one of these two Samadhis. A person should do the Samadhi Abhyasa and Shravana will ultimately give knowledge. So here he says, if you have a vasana for deep meditation, you keep doing because it's going to help, but know that it will never produce self-knowledge. You have to do that to keep improving your mind so that you can better do your Shravana and Manana until the ultimate self-knowledge is firm and clear. And here he says something interesting. Through one life, some people, they do this work and then a lot of Shravana, Manana, but the self-knowledge is not firm or did not fully fructify. And then the person should continue doing the same sadhana, should continue Shravana in the next verse. So he should continue Shravana in the next verse. So it means to say, don't worry, you have developed such a huge Shravana, Vedantic Vasana, Shravana and Manana, Vasana, that it's going to come back and it's going to manifest as well. And you're going to find yourself being a Vedanta freak again, doing more Shravana and so on in the next verse. And then he changed the subject and he talks about the Abhyasa Samadhi. It's a deep meditation in which there is division between the meditator and the object of meditation, and Nirvikalpa Samadhi without division. It may happen or not. Nirvikalpa will happen or not during that deep meditation, but the liberating knowledge does not depend on neither one of these. Depends on what? The vicharas, the scriptural knowledge unfolded and contemplated, unfolded by a teacher and contemplated until. But he says in the end, but a person should do deep meditation, and Shravanam. So it's here and there we say that. Vedanta says that most of the time we say, okay, do Karma Yoga and do Yani Yoga until the knowledge, mind is purified and the knowledge is properly integrated. Okay. Here he says, so one should do meditation, deep meditation together, associate with Vedantic, Yani Yoga, Shravan, and Manana. But know that the deep meditation will not produce self-knowledge cloud, only Shravanam, okay? Only the Vedantic Mahavakyas, contemplating in the light of those Mahavakyas until it can be clearly and fully accepted with no restrictions. Only these Mahavakyas, this Shravanam, will give self-knowledge. So very nice. So this is a good thing, Claudia. It means that anybody, I mean, I don't know Mark, but Mark had a vasana for meditation as well. And Lynn comes from their background. It means that we can do both. But you know what you can get with deep meditation. You're never going to get free from meditation. And you need to know that, not to have false expectations. You understand? Oh, no, I'm going to do that because I have done so much Shravana and so on. And so let me do deep meditation. Deep meditation is going to prepare the mind. And then don't fall for the feel-good experience of blankness or silence or peace. Okay? Don't fall for that because you want to do that so that your mind is better prepared for Shravana. Bring the mind back to your Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. So, and then you have a very clarity in respect to what you can get from deep meditation and what you cannot get from deep meditation, what you can get from Shravana, Manana, if your mind is properly prepared and purified and refined. Okay, so as Swami P often says, Yani Yoga or the Mahavakya Vichara without Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga is impossible. Okay, it's impossible because the mind needs to be prepared. And Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga without Mahavakya Vichara is incomplete and therefore will never produce self-knowledge. Okay. So I guess that's it for today. We did not move much, but we had a nice Q&A session that always makes the class a little more dynamic, I could say. Anything else, Claudio? Okay. We meet again next week. We begin next Drsya on verse 30. I'm going to make a sign here. And we meet again next Monday with Panchadas. Let me see who is doing pli here. I forgot to close something. No. Oh, it's in this one here. Okay. Okie dokie. Oh, I lost you guys. Okay. We meet again next Monday. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, my friends. Namaste. Arrivederci. Goodbye. Next Monday.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Alinda. Bye now.
Thank you, Mark.